And that to me spoke volumes in terms of, from the negativity I heard about Vietnamese people, that they're racist and they don't like black people and all that stuff. It really spoke to me in volume because I have not witnessed any of that since I've been here.
Most of expats here, they consider themselves very superior. They think, oh, I'm coming here with big money, right? They look down on the Vietnamese people. They're not trying to understand the lifestyles, and also they're not.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo and I'm your host, and today we're joined by Ronnie in Vietnam. Ronnie.
Yes.
All right, thanks for inviting me over.
All right, thanks for you being here. It's been a journey. I went through what you call a dark phase in my life back in America. I went through a bad relationship. And I was kind of like, what do you call that, on a path of trying to find myself again after that relationship. But, well, here's what happened. I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm tired of this whole back and forth, the yo-yo life of okay, it falls apart, you still continue doing this thing. A lot of people do the same thing over and over until sometimes it's either too late or they get it. And I finally got, I was like, you know what? I'm trying to be somebody else. I'm trying to live the American dream. I'm living in Orange County, California. Laguna Niguel, beach, probably big villas, houses, all that good stuff. And I'm still having all these issues of bad relationships. I'm thinking I'm living the Orange County OC life, right? I'm like, this is not life, And I went through this bad relationship, and all of a sudden, it put me in a place. And I remember, I told my son, I say, sometimes you have to go back to what you first fell in love with as a boy growing up. And I remember I love Asia. I love Japanese culture. I love Chinese culture. But most important, I really love Buddhist culture, which was about philosophy, about family, about what's called atonement for things and your life perspective, finding your path in life. And I love that whole Tibetan, the monk, the traveling monk who traveled, but he allowed himself to be part of the world by accepting all the bad and good. And I was like, I only have been here, and I came to America, coming from the curriculum, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. So coming to America, I had what you call that struggle of where I came from and where I'm at. And I absorbed the American lifestyle, but again, it's like that part of me was saying, this is not really you. Yes, you have a step, this is your stepping stone, this is not your life. You haven't started living your life yet. And I'm like, okay. It's like I said, I went back to what I first fell in love with, and I just started thinking, how can I do it? How can I do it? And a friend mentioned to me, hey, you should try, if you're gonna travel abroad, try these meetup websites, like international meetup websites. And I jumped on there, started making a lot of friends. And I'm kind of like going to call, I'm not really the kind of, yes, like a social thing. So I started talking, I was like, okay, Japan. So I started saying, I'm looking at these Japan social, meetup, websites. And I remember one day, I was reading this thing and I said, Vietnam. I'm like, Vietnam. And then I said, yeah, if I started reading, there's a whole lot of negativity too. It was like,
And you said it wasn't on your radar either.
It wasn't never on my radar.
So it was China and Japan.
Yeah, it was just China, Japan, because like I said, or somewhere else, or Korea. But because those are the bigger places that stand out. The big three that stands out when it comes to Asia, right? So here I am, trying to find my place, and all of a sudden, in this meetup, I meet this woman. Well, not just one. I met a few, and it went from being okay, and then there was one that kind of like showed up, and she was like, "Hey, love your smile. It just brightens the room. I love the way you smile. It brightens the room, right?" And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And she's like, where in America are you from? So I'm from California, all that stuff. And we started talking and everything. And it just started flowing. Next thing you know, here I am, and I'm figuring out this whole thing. So now my mind is no longer in America. I'm like, okay, how am I going to get abroad? So I'm trying to figure out all this stuff, and met this woman, like I said. And all of a sudden we started connecting. you know, and she was like, hey, so when are you coming to Asia? And I'm like, well, I'd like to meet you. I'm like, he said, well, how about in 1 year? Can you come in 1 year? I'm like, sure, why not? So all of a sudden I'm like, I just committed to meeting someone in 1 year that I've not met in person. And you know what? I talked to my friends about it. But the funny thing was when she said to me, she said, oh, I'm leaving to go home. I'm like, what do you mean leaving to go home? Aren't you home in Japan, right? When
She was Vietnamese.
She was Vietnamese, working in Vietnam.
In Japan.
In Japan. I'm Vietnamese working in Japan. And she got back home and she's like, I'm in Saigon. I'm like, Saigon? I'm like, I thought you live in Japan. And she said, oh, no, I'm Vietnamese. I live in Saigon. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I can't find out that she was Vietnamese. So I said, okay. So now I said, I guess I'm going to Vietnam. I'm not going to Japan anymore, right? She didn't mention living in Vietnam. So here's the funny thing. So now all of a sudden, I'm talking to all my other friends who so happen to be mostly Vietnamese in America. So I'm like, yeah, I met this girl from Vietnam. All of a sudden they're giving me the warning signs. Hey, no, don't do that. You don't want to do that. And it might be something else, you know what I mean? So they give me all the negative vibes about why she connected with you and all that stuff. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know it. I'm not gonna try to get into it. But basically, it was like, yeah, she's probably trying to get you. This is a small step, but she's trying to come to America. That's why she connected with you. And I had a good feeling about it. Next thing you know, I'm saving up money and I bought a ticket. And throughout my whole entire trip, my heart is doing boop, boop. I'm like, I never traveled to Asia before. It's my first time going to Asia. But it was something I've always wanted to do when I was a boy. And I remember when I got on the plane, and I was like, wow, I'm on the plane now. And next thing you know, they say it's going to be a 21-hour flight. Yes, 21-hour flight, 21, 22-hour flight. And I finally got to South Korea, Incheon Airport, which was beautiful airport. And I remember something. I remember my father, and I was like, Dad, because my dad had passed away at that point in time. He passed away. Actually, no, he hadn't passed away yet. My dad passed away. He hadn't passed away yet, but he was sick. And I remember I said, wow, I'm here. You know, I'm actually looking at the window at a whole different country. I'm no longer in America. I'm doing this by myself. This is not my dad. This is not anybody. This is me doing this by myself. And it felt like my journey had just started. And when I looked out the airport, looked out the window at Incheon Airport, I felt something happening. You know, I didn't know what it was just. I felt something happening. And next thing you know, I'm in Vietnam. And as soon as I got to Vietnam, it's hot. I'm like, because I got there during the summertime.
But you were in California.
I was in California where it's hot, but it's more temperate hot. It's not like hot, you know what I mean? So I get to Vietnam, it's like someone opened the microwave. The oven, I should say. Heat. I'm like, whoa, it's hot. You know, I finally met the woman who I actually got married to.
Yeah, that was her that you were talking to?
Right. I finally met her. It was an odd meeting. It was like kind of like, because this is the first time me meeting in person, and this was an odd meeting. It was a little rough. It was a little bit greedy, but you know, we kind of it took us a week to kind of like smooth out the bumps of personality.
So you guys weren't personality, okay.
Right, personality in person now, because before we were talking on Skype. I mean, although we're face to face on Skype, but that's through a lens.
The same, no?
Huh?
Shouldn't it feel the same way?
It doesn't, and that's how it was. And it was, like I say, it was a rough ride. I mean, our first week, I was here for a month, so the first week we kind of went through this whole thing, you know what I mean? And I'm being the tourist, and she's like, okay, I actually want to talk to you, and you're like, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? You know, who's this? Who's that? Are you here for me, or are you here to sightsee? I didn't want to really think about it, but I was like, I'm here. We should be enjoying ourselves, not worrying about how, you know, what I'm sightseeing. I mean, yes, we're talking, we're going out, we're eating, but because I'm paying more attention to buildings and structures, so she felt a little bit dismayed that I wasn't here for her. I was here mostly for the country, you know, and she felt taken aback. So we, like I said, we went through what they call a stalemate in the beginning of, you know, I mean, but we eventually smoothed things out, and then throughout the next couple of years, while I was traveling back and forth from Vietnam to meet and spend time with her, it was mostly a vacation trip. So I would say potentially the vacation trips really didn't lend to the relationship. It lent more to, okay, let's go meet. We're gonna meet up in Saigon, meet up wherever, and then we go on vacation while I'm here. So we're not really getting to know each other in a sense, in a humanistic sense. We get to know each other more in a vacation sense, because when you're on vacation, you're not worrying about life, you're just enjoying your time, you know, going different places. So we never had what we call like full-on bonding time, you know what I mean? You know, and then when I finally moved here just recently, 9 months ago, full on, we started really getting to know each other. And I think for the first time we saw each other's person a lot more. She saw me more as she was like, I think you want to be famous here, because everyone wants to be in you know, wants to be, let me see, she said the outside people effect keeps affecting our relationship. And so therefore you need to figure out what you want. You want outside people, or you want a family? I'm like, well, I want a family. I want to be around people, but I am not going to limit myself to just being stuck in a house as a family man, you know what I mean? Because there's too much life to live. And I coined this phrase. A lot of people always say life is too short because you never know. I say life is too short because it's how you choose to live it. You know, I mean, if you choose to live your life as a day-to-day, not do anything, then life is too short. You only see just the four walls, you know what I mean? But if you choose to live life is full of adventure, full of everything. Life is not too short. You have a lot of time to do a lot of things, but it's your perspective, it's the time you put into other stuff, and the way you feel about your surroundings and where you want to go. Everything happens for a reason. And the red flags, negativity between my wife and I led us to be separated. But one thing kept us together a lot more, and that is our daughter. We had a beautiful daughter. She's actually not really my blood daughter, but when I met her, she had a one-year-old girl, and I took to her as much as she took to me. So basically, she has become my full-on daughter. She calls me daddy. I love her to death. But going back to the part of her mom and I, we went through what you call the up and down. Lots of red flags, but...
So it wasn't a cultural thing then?
No, it wasn't a cultural thing. It was more of personality. She had what you call, she's an introvert, big introvert. Not very smiley of a person. She don't smile. She thinks I'm a clown. She's like, why you smile so much? You know, and I'm the smiling, you know, joking, kind of like a free-minded kind of person, where she's more conservative. She's very, I think conservative is more of the cultural thing. So she's more conservative, more traditional, but also at the same time, her personality is very introverted, where I am an extrovert. I think I'm what do you call an extreme extrovert. So I'm always have the happy effect because of the relationship of coming to Vietnam, because of my wife, led to many other things, and sometimes everything happens for a reason, and so that has allowed me to not just how can you say grow, has allowed me to develop, and has allowed me to become more have a deeper perspective of Vietnamese culture. And because once we separated, I was pretty much kind of left on my own to figure things out, because you know she was kind of like my liaison to understanding other things.
Understood.
You know, and so therefore that's the shift and positive part of it, because we have actually talked. When we do talk, every now and she'll call me and stuff like that, and she said how life is going, and I said, well, you know, things are going good. I'm doing this, doing that. But like she said, well, I should have never left. I said, well, you know, don't worry about it. I said, I'm doing fine, you know, but we're still trying to figure things out. So the best thing about it is that I was left to my demise. I mean, left to my own devices of figuring out my life here now, from having an interpreter or having a person that can say. Well, go do this, go do that. So now I got to really figure this out, and that's where I started developing a lot more here as a person. You know what I mean? Being here by myself.
All right, so tell me, what do you like the most about Vietnam so far?
What I like about Vietnam is
the one thing
is the people.
Okay.
The people are really wonderful, very welcoming, very family-oriented, very adoptive. When I say adoptive, they if they like you, they will adopt you. So I could say I got adopted by two wonderful people. I mean, many others, of course, but the two people that really adopted me and kind of brought me into the family is where we're at right now. It's the coffee shop we're at right now. Hello Cafe. I met him just on the fact of one day just walking in here, and a lot of times in life, that's how it happens. You walk into a building, and you never leave, because the people in the building captures you so much, and then you keep going back, all of a sudden you become friends. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of how it is. You know, I mean, I walked into Hello Cafe one day, just because I was walking by, and I felt a little bit like maybe I should go in there. And every time I walk by, I kind of like, nah, I'm not next day I'll go in there. And then one day I just walked in here and they was like, hey, you know, and it just started from there, that the relationships are building, you know, slowly but surely, and more that it built, it became more apparent that we were like almost like spiritual kin, you know what I mean? And I got pulled into the family. They're like, hey, we're having this function or that function, you know, do you want to come? And that to me spoke volumes in terms of, you know, from the negativity I heard about Vietnamese people, that they're racist and they don't like black people and all that stuff. It really spoke to me volume because I have not witnessed any of that since I've been here.
Okay.
And I have actually been here almost a year and living fully. And everywhere I've gone, I've been met with welcomeness, happiness. How are you? Who are you? You know what I mean? You know, even if they don't speak English, we will just do a fist bump. You know, I'm like, hey, you know, and the guy may look at me like, and then when they get used to me, like at the gym, I go to the gym and I work and a lot of guys, and when they first saw me, they was like, who's this guy? Is he African or American? I don't know, you know, because I think that the central flow of people in Asia, that they think everyone is from Africa, right? If you have African descent, they think you're from Africa.
Or if you look dark.
Or you look dark, you know, they think you're from Africa. Until they say, no, I'm not from America. Oh, America, you know, go America, where you from, you know? So a lot of the guys at the gym will just either give me like I introduced what you call the bro hug and the fist bump. So when they saw me, almost like a month later, it became a thing. It's like I walk into the gym, everybody's like, oh, you know, oh, yo, and you know, fist bump, you know what I mean, or or pat on the back kind of thing, bro hug, you know. And even up to this day, now everyone at the gym kind of does it. They kind of have that flow of you know, we're all there achieving the same goal. We're working out, you know, and we may not speak the same language, but we're there accomplishing something together. We help each other out, we spot each other, stuff like that. And they may speak very, very little English, but we have an understanding. You know what I mean? So where's the racism in that? I don't see it. All I see is people connecting. You know,
so I think it's because you were proactive in your approach. You think that's why? Right? Because you were the one that went in with this type of attitude.
Right.
Right. So I think that may have influenced your experience as well.
Right. I think
because you put yourself there and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. What's up?
I think the more I look back on my time here, I think it's a lot of my approach of things. I walk in there and I don't just act timid or act like, oh, I don't know the language. I walk in there, I know the language, but I don't know how to pronounce it correctly a lot of times, so I try. And then they may correct me if they understand me, or they might, you know, smile and they might say little English, and then I break up my phone and I'm like, okay, let's Google chat, right? and we have the Google chat, and then things start to flow. And next thing you know, we're friends, we're exchanging phone numbers, or, you know, it's like, hey, you know, let's go have a drink. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't drink too much, you know, but it's a segue to everything. Everything, it depends on the personality and perspective. And I have a friend down in Saigon, he's from New York, and he says to me, he said, man, your story, the way you approach things is so, like bright, so it's so different compared to a lot of people. Your experience here has been so different from other people that it's like you need to bottle that and give it to everyone. Hey, you know, if take this, drink this, and go meet everybody. But like I said, you know, it's perspective. The people here gave me what you call a nickname because of that perspective. Because Minbao actually means Min means bright and sunny. Bao means treasure or transparent. Okay. Bao also means rain, but it depends on the hyphen, right? So they call me Minbao. So I was like, I Googled it when I tried to figure it out. I was like, oh, I love the name Minbao, because that's me, you know, bright, sunny. You're like a treasure to be, because they look at it as a treasure is someone that is beholden as a good friend. So I like the fact of having that name and talking to people. And when I actually introduced my name as not my English speaking name, but my Vietnamese name, they're like, whoa. I like the name. And so all of a sudden handshakes come out, and all of a sudden, even if they don't speak much English, they try to speak English, and all of a sudden we're having a conversation. So like I said, where's the racism in that? I don't see it. And for me personally, I feel like I'm helping create international relations by being who I am, and also being an ambassador to myself, and breaking that mantra of of Asian people are racist, or Vietnamese people, dislike you because you have darker complexion or anything like that. You know what I mean? So as much as I can do in helping create a effect of curiosity and bring a understanding to the world or to people around me or people who want to come here, I say it's all about perspective, all about personality. It's not about anything that you have heard in social media about Asia or whatever. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know there are there are elements out there that is true, but you still have to come with a perspective and bring yourself along with it. And all the negativity, you take it out of your head and you just be positive. Okay. That's it. All right, so this is Grace, a very good friend of mine, and kind of one of the people that actually helped me get started here in Vietnam and everything I've done so far because of her charitable ways.
My name is Grace Nguyen. I am the owner of Karma Waters, the vegan restaurants in Hoi An and Da Nang. I'm also the founder of Karma Waters Charitable Association, where we help poor people with vegan food and ethnic minority children with school supplies and stationeries. Well, every year we raise funds to help the ethnic minorities in central Vietnam, especially in Highland, central Highland. So one of my friends who is vegan, his name is Sean Murphy. So he introduced Ronnie to my organization, and that's how we connected. And then Ronnie, he contacted me last year and then donated $1,000 plus his own laptop to a primary school in Quảng Ngãi province. And that's how we know each other since then. No, he's not the first black people that I met. I mean, I do have other friends in Hong Kong. I basically live in Hong Kong, but Vietnam is also my home, right? But because my kids are born in Hong Kong, so I live in Hong Kong most of my time. But once a year, I will be here in Vietnam for like 2 months. So I do have black people as my friends, but his was the first black people here in Vietnam that I met.
This is Kang. I met Kang on this happening one day, just to be walking by. Actually, I walked by several times before actually walking in here to this coffee shop, which is called Hello Cafe. And I just came in, sat down, and this guy came over with a big smile. He was like, "Hey, what would you like?" And I'm trying to order of the menu in Vietnamese, and he kind of helped me out. And then after that, one thing led to another, and later on, as time went by, we just became more and more friends. And he pretty much brought me into his family, and now he considers me like his older brother.
Yes, my name is Kang, the owner of Hello Cafes in Da Nang. Ronnie, I think, is a good guy. So cool. Yes, sometimes I call him a hot boy. Yes, I met him about 10 months ago.
Right, about 10 months
ago.
yeah.
Yes. First time he came here and he ordered something about smoothie. I have some recommend for him.
I think my point of view of expats who live here in Vietnam, right? You know, most expats who decided to move to live here in Da Nang or in Vietnam is because of the cost of living. It's cheap compared to the Western or other countries, right? And also, Ronnie, I found that he is quite different from other expats that I met in Vietnam. Why do I say that? Because most expats here, they come here, right? They not immerse themselves into the local community. Meanwhile, he trying to be like one of the local people, right? Yes. Most of expats here, they consider themselves very superior. They think, oh, I'm coming here with big money, right? They look down on the Vietnamese people. They're not trying to understand the lifestyles, and also they're not trying to be helpful. So that's the thing that I get more closer to him as a foreigner, and I think he's an open-minded person. His character is extrovert, which is like going out and talk to many people, even though his Vietnamese sucks, right? But That's the good things about Ronnie. And that's it. And he's a playboy.
I'm a playboy.
The reason that make we more closer because I agree with Grace. He never choose the way to stay in a group of another expat. He choose another way. He choose to live outside with the local community. Yes, so I admire him so much. So that is the reason he and me maybe right now I can call him older brother. Yes.
Any advice for foreigners that want to come here to visit or live? I guess maybe what you said about being immersed in the community.
Emerge, right?
Yeah, immerse, yeah.
into the local community. I mean, help more.
When you say
Understand-
help, what do you mean exactly?
Help themselves, be more hospitality.
Okay,
Why do I'm
hospitable,
saying that?
okay.
Means that you can help in many ways. Donating, even donate your smile, right? Donate how you treat other people by talking to them, open the door for the older people, or be nicer to everybody, right? Not think that they are superior and then like tell them people off. That's
Yeah,
what-
there's
that's what
definitely, I definitely have to agree with it. There's definitely a small, not everyone, there's definitely a small mindset of superiority that comes from expats. That's why a lot of expats tend to live in certain areas where it's mostly other expats. So there's more of an understanding. But once you live in the local community, you do have to try. You do have to try to understand the community, understand the people, and you have to accept a lot of the things that you're not used to. And you best believe, accepting those things is what makes you different. Like I immersed myself in the local community. I was to learn a lot of things. At first, people looked at me as being different, but I changed their mindset by saying I'm not different. I look different, but my mindset is about learning more about you and becoming part of you.
I don't mean that all expats are bad people, I have so many good expats here doing lots of charity, helping Vietnamese people. Vietnamese young girls to have a good education. I mean, also orphan people, orphan children, things like that. It's just that the majority of expats who come here mainly, I think, is cheap place to live.
The more you try to understand the people, understand the culture and the language, I think you become part of culture. We may not look like part of the homogenous society, but we can lend to it, we can give to it. Being different doesn't mean that you cannot be part of it. Being different means that use your differences and indifferences to achieve more.
What do you do in Vietnam right now?
What I do in Vietnam right now is I teach. To me, I look at it as giving back to society. Mm-hmm. So I work at 2 English centers. On my spare time, I actually teach English privately to other students, to other people that want to learn.
Any advice for other people that are looking to come here, like black people? What's something about Vietnam that people might not know? Because as you said, it wasn't on your radar.
Right.
It's probably not on a lot of people's radar.
Right.
Radars. And I've actually met some people who apparently this place has influenced them or impacted them profoundly.
Right.
So is there anything that you know about this region or the country?
Well, I'll say the best thing is come to Vietnam with an open mind. 1, 2, go into Vietnam needs good people from around the world. It doesn't matter if you're Vietnamese or not. It's a great country. They're very welcoming people. It doesn't matter, if you're a black person of African descent, it doesn't matter. You have to come here with an open mind and come here with a perspective of being part of the community. Mm-hmm. Don't allow this to take away from your perspective of being part of the community. Allow yourself to just flow with everything and understand everything, and understand that if someone gives you a weird look, it's not because they're like looking because you're black or whatever. They're looking at you because they've never seen. Some people have never seen certain people.
But the truth is, we don't know what they're thinking.
Right, we don't know. Well, that's true.
So it could be bad or good. But
it could be bad or good.
At the end of the day, we don't know.
And
unless they make it known.
And plus, there's a language barrier, so you will never know. You know what I mean? So the best thing to do is just be open-minded.
What about opportunities in Vietnam? Do you feel like there's a lot of opportunities?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. Actually, a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities. The opportunities here in Vietnam is about exploring yourself more, and whatever job that you think you can do here, you can do it. They do have what they call a system where, you know, majority of Vietnamese people, of course, have to get those jobs. So as an outsider, you cannot get some of those jobs unless you're like, I guess, Vietnamese or something of the sort. But entrepreneur for sure, because I found myself thinking of so many things I can do here. So therefore, that's what's really set the tone for me being here longer, is that I'm finding so much little opportunities of creating a business or building a franchise, running a brand. And it's all on a good budget. Whereas if you lived in a Western country, you got to think of the $1 million budget. Where here you can build a business on a shoestring budget, and still come out at the end of the day being successful. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people come to Asia who have the perspective, is that there's opportunity here. The opportunity is now, okay, I'm coming here to go work at a particular company. You come here to rebuild, to start from that scratch, thinking that I had an idea 10 years ago, I had an idea a year ago to build a business, and now I can actually go about and do it with less money. Whereas, like I said, back in America, I would need to have $1 million, $100,000 to start any business. You know, and so that's what a lot of people feel dissuaded to start things in their own country. You know what I mean?
Okay, and as you said, it's affordable here. Like,
yeah, it's affordable.
It's crazy. When I do the math, when I take like a Grab or a taxi or whatever,
it's like a couple bucks.
Oh, like even cents. I'm just like
50 cents.
It is ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just. I mean, at first I was like, when I was looking at the money's perspective, I was looking at all the thousands and all the big numbers. But when you actually boil it down to US or Euro, it's like 50 cents to $1 for some things. I mean, you can literally go to a 5-star restaurant and pay only $5 for your meal. Great meal, but it's only $5. But you're spending.
If you have the currency, though. That's the thing. You have to have the currency. So if you're coming here, try to come with as much US, Euro, Canadian, pound, whatever as you can.
And the other thing is to save. I saved for a year. You know, you have to be realistic. Save for a year. That's what I did. Have some capital behind you, because in the beginning,
like, how much would you save, for those who are wondering? Like, what's a little cushion that would be safe? Not too much to burden the people, but something about $5 grand. $5
grand. I actually said $5 grand. A lot of the other expats that came here, I mentioned that on an expat website. They're like, I came with $500, and I'm like, $500?
Yeah.
I can't see myself, trying to make it here for $500 for the first couple of months. But so I said 5,000, which is what I actually came here with 7,000.
Okay.
In the beginning, came here with 7,000.
That's a lot here.
Yeah, I know. I came here with 7,000. I saved, plan, and I finally got here with 7,000. And I actually, before coming here, I made some connections in the past. So all those connections in the past actually led to everything as I came after, which is a place to stay. I actually ended up getting a house. I pay $800 a month for my house, but in America or Europe, that's a $5,000 or either a $3,000 to $5,000 rent each month. Okay. I have a huge, I call it my McMansion. A lot of some people that know me, when they see my house, they're like, "You live there? You have roommates, right?" I'm like, "No, it's just me." I'm like, "Wow." Like, that's a big house for just you. I mean, even my friends, there's like, that's a lot of wasteful space for one person, don't you think? I'm enjoying it. I said, if I was in America, I cannot afford this. I can afford it right now. So I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, I walk in there, I have this huge living room, I have this huge, upstairs, downstairs house, to myself, two huge master bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, kitchen, wash area, all that good stuff.
Is it hard to get a job here, you think, to land a job?
English teaching job is easy to get. It doesn't matter who you are, but you can get an English teaching job, which is fairly easy. Make sure that you have all of your documents. Well, not really all of the documents. A lot of people think you need to have all, but as long as you're from what I heard, as long as you're from the US and from Europe, like England or something like that, it's quicker.
Okay.
If you're coming from any other English-speaking country, they don't really know if they speak English there, so they might be a little bit hesitant. But if you can convince them that, hey, I speak English, I'm good just as an American, they will hire you. But like I said, again, personality and perspective, right?
So is a degree mandatory? Like in some countries, it's a prerequisite.
Yes, the prerequisite is American British. You know,
okay,
it's American British. If as soon as you say American British, oh, yeah, sure, you're hired. You know.
Okay.
But I've heard of other people because the other people I heard that they kind of strict because they don't know how well their English is. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why a lot of people just they quickly hire you if you just present the U.S. passport or the European British passport. You know what I mean? South Africa, all these other places, it's more of like. Yes, I speak English, but you have to be talkative. You have to be, it's a perspective. You have to show them. Now you have to prove yourself. You know what I mean? American is like, okay, you didn't even have to say nothing. You just walk right in, show them the passport, boom, you're done.
And I heard that the compensation is also...
The compensation is really good.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, compensation is really good. You can make anywhere from about, starting point, in terms of an English teacher, you can make anywhere from $17 an hour to about $25 an hour. Now, if you work as a teacher at one of the private locations, private schools, you can make almost close to $30 an hour. That's a really good.
Here's a lot.
Yeah, and you're working anywhere from about 30 hours a week to 25 hours a week, and that's a good income here. Okay. Really, really good income. So yes, but you're doing it more like 2 or 3 hours a day. So you have to break that up per every couple of weeks, and that's your income.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The other thing is, do you need the biggest fallacy? I should say that to people. The biggest fallacy about Asia in general. I know if you're going into the bigger institutions, yes.
Okay.
But if you go into the lower end institutions of English speaking, mom and pop English schools, English centers, do you need a degree? No. And that's the biggest fallacy that a lot of people before said you need to have a master's degree and this, that, and the other. Not true. As long as you have a U.S. passport, able to speak English and get the work permit, you're good to go. Some places will not even worry about a work permit. They will get it for you. Okay. So basically, a lot of times it's just where you're from and your personality. Okay. For me, in general, quickly is I walked right in, and within 5 minutes I got hired. I told her, I said, I have all these degrees. I was in the military. I did this, did that. I showed it to her. She said, too much paperwork. Too much paperwork. You too educated. Too educated. You want
definitely not Japan.
Yeah, she was like, you want the job or not? I'm like, yes, I take the job. I said, okay, well, you start Sunday. I'm like, okay.
I feel like this video is gonna make so many people.
So I'm sitting here with all this paperwork in my hand, right? Yeah. Of this, that, and the other, with resumes and CVs as they call them here. And I'm like, this was like worthless for me, making copies of all this stuff. And I'm like,
nice you learned, right?
Yeah. I mean, the other place I went to, same thing. I went in there dressed up. It was a much bigger English center. Dressed straight and tie. I was sweating. It was during the summertime, sweating bullets, like literally sweating. I'm like, sweat is trickling down to my shirt. Got a tie, got my jacket on, and I got, all dressed to kill, right? And I get there, and there's this guy in front of me, I mean, okay, so they say, here, can you wait for us? I said, okay, fine, I waited. Next time I sat down, and I have a briefcase. I literally have a briefcase with all my paperwork. The lady pushes me a piece of paper. She said, that's how much you're gonna be making an hour. Do you want the job? I'm like, yeah.
When is the interview?
So I'm like, am I gonna get interviewed for this process? and she said, well, so you where are you from? I said, I'm from America. She said, okay, can you make me a copy of your passport? I'm like, yeah. She said, well, you start next week. I'm like, okay. She said, what's your name again? I said, my name is Ronnie, but they call me. She said, oh, Minbao, I like that. She said, you know what Minbao means, right? I'm like, yes. And then she calls the other people that's speaking enough English. Hey, this is Minbao. He's our new employee. So now I'm meeting everyone. Hey, hello Minbao. Hello, how you doing, Minbao? And I'm like, I got the briefcase and everything else is pretty much like whatever now. Mm-hmm. So
they handle everything in terms of paperwork, right?
There's a paperwork, but like I said, it just depends where you go. So the whole fallacy about the whole thing
you
about
need to be disqualified and not qualified.
It just depends. If like I said, if you go into like the big top name English centers, you're gonna need some paperwork. You need the quality. You need the quality. But if you go into more like the smaller English centers, they could care less.
Okay, so we're winding down now. One question I want to ask is, what do you think is the general attitude? When I say this question, some people are like, well, you can't really say general, but I'm asking, based on your perception, what do you think, how do you think black people are received by Vietnamese people here?
Very well. It depends where you're at too. I've heard stories where people felt like they were being racially profiled or they looked at them funny in a weird way. But you also have to remember, you are slightly different. So you're gonna stand out like a sword.
Slightly different?
Well, not okay. Okay, I was trying to tone it down. Okay, you are different. So you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb. Okay, you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And first you're gonna be, you know, like I said, they're thinking everyone of darker complexion or black. They think they're from Africa. So until you speak or they ask you a question, right? Some people are very receptive. It depends on how much interaction they have had with foreigners. You know what I mean? Like, so certain parts of the city are gonna be different, but a different part of the city are gonna be different. But the thing is, reception-wise, Vietnamese people are the most welcoming people I've ever met.
Okay.
I've ever met. Literally, they will literally adopt you, make you part of their family, and call you brother. Like I've now brother to 2 Vietnamese families.
Okay.
I've traveled with them. I've slept in the same room with them. You know, so I cannot say anything negative I've come across. And a lot of people say I'm lucky. Maybe I'm just one of those people that have had a lot of fortune, been very fortunate. But to really be honest, even the people that have that little twinge in their eye of who you are, or they might seem like they're kind of like, you know, looking at you from in a weird way, those people, at the end of the day, if it's within 5 minutes, and I just say, hey, how are you doing? Because sometimes this is what I do. If I see the person kind of looking at me weird, what I'll do is I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And then he's like, hey, come here. No, which means no understand, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, English? He was like, very little. I'm like, how you doing? I'm like, so I say, xin chào. And he was like, oh, you speak Vietnamese? I'm like, well, Vietnamese, very little too. So they all of a sudden they warm up, and that's it. It breaks the ice because you need an icebreaker. So that's the I guess because that's another thing I learned in psychology is that you need an icebreaker in life sometimes. So you need to, like I said, presentation. You know, so that's my presentation is that I break the ice by knowing enough Vietnamese, and that's another thing. If you're going to be traveling to Vietnam or any country in general, at least try to learn the language at least learn how to say hello, hi. Learn how to interact a little bit, so therefore it gives them a comfortability that you're not just a foreigner, you're a foreigner here, but at least you're trying to learn something, you know, the culture or the language of some sort. And I can order off the menu, I can actually speak enough Vietnamese. My neighbors, I walk in by, I say hello to my neighbors every morning in Vietnamese. I have small conversations, but it's because I try to learn the language, and even in terms of dating, I've actually gone out on dates with Vietnamese women. They speak English, some English, but we were able to communicate still, even though they spoke very little English. And because of me being able to speak some Vietnamese, we're still able to go out and have a good time, eat, and have fun. You know what I mean? So that's it.
Where can people find you online?
People can find me on my Facebook page, which is Ronnie DeFour. I don't mind, Ronnie DeFour, which is, it's a French last name, which is DEFOUR, so Ronnie, RONNIE DeFour. I do have a YouTube channel, which is A Fantastic Life, which is, in a sense to me, is you have to live the best life you can, you know what I mean? And you should not be holding to any paradigm that says that you need to live this way, because your life is totally up to you. So that's why I say a fantastic life. Live a fantastic life.
Guys, there you have it. This is Ronnie. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now.